Party on, Todd.
Party on, Sal.
Rock on.
Rock on.
Well, welcome back, POJCasters, to another episode of the Party on John cast. A podcast about theology, coffee, whatever we're drinking, and most excellent music.
The Johns agree.
The Johns agree. So again, welcome. This is Reverend Sal Marco, a ordained teaching elder in the Presbytery of Nuttin in the PC USA, serving in validated ministry in the town of Nuttin.
Always needing to be validated.
Please.
He's going to school us on that, I think, as a teaching elder.
That's right.
So this is, in case you didn't guess, this is Todd Laddick. I'm an ordained elder in the Greater New Jersey Conference of the United Methodist Church, serving a congregation in Newton on higher ground from Sal.
It's the only higher ground I give him.
And this Wesleyan has to remind that Calvinist that God gives me the higher ground.
Preordained it. Can't argue.
So we have a guest here.
We do. We have an awesome guest with us today. We're very glad he's with us. Guest, introduce yourself.
Okay. I am Ryan Stockton. I'm the pastor at Western Hills Christian Church in Green Township.
Welcome.
So, thanks.
Rock
Glad to
on.
be here. Glad to be here.
So, how high are the hills in the west?
They are rolling and meandering. It's not so much the height that matters, guys. It's the beauty and
the ebbs and flows.
It's the ebbs and flows of the hills in the west.
The west is the best, as Jim Morrison once said.
I have to ask though, is it green? Are they green?
They are green, although today they're probably some varying shades of brown.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's often green.
No doubt. And what Ryan is referencing is the inordinate amount of rain we had within a 24 to 48 hour period of. We haven't had a lot of rain overall. We're in a drought, actually.
But the rain that happened yesterday.
That was
enough to canoe to work today. That was something.
Whenever you get told that you're going to be experiencing a cyclone bomb, it's like, wait, a cyclone and a bomb all at the same time? That's like, no. Really what it was, they come up with these fancy terms to scare you, but what it was 20 to 30 mile an hour winds and rain.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of rain.
It scared my dog.
Scared my dog. My dog was right next to me on the couch. I have a selfie of my dog next to me on the couch, which I'm going to show to you right now. And now I'm going to actually have to probably post this, aren't I?
Yeah, your listeners are going to be so jelly.
So there we are, me on the couch with my dog. So let us then go into our Hebrews segment.
Hey guys,
Yes, Sal?
Yeah.
how do you know that God loves coffee?
How?
It's written about in the book of Hebrews.
Ba-dum.
You know, I've listened to this podcast a few times, guys. Big fan. I'm just waiting for one of these times for you, Sal, to go, because he wrote about it in the book of 3 John. Just like some random book, or like he wrote about it in 2nd Keurig or something like that.
2nd Keurig. He wrote about it in the book of Revelations.
You don't see that I'm actually writing that down.
And for those of you that didn't catch that, it's Revelation, not shuns. All the pastors in the room go, oh, okay. Conclusion. Okay, so we'll get there later. So what are we drinking, guys? We'll start with you, Ryan.
Start with me. Oh, man. Well, I am a coffee newbie. I've loved the smell of coffee for years, but never really drunk it, although recently I have been experiencing the joys, I think I told you guys, of creamers, like particularly the Irish creamers, kind of things like that. So today, before coming here, I hit up Dunkin' Donuts, got a straight up coffee with French vanilla sweetener in it.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you what, it tastes kind of like the bottom of my shoe. If
That's Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, there's no, I can't taste any sweetener in it. It tastes just like I mean, maybe if I knew actually what black coffee tasted like. This is the newbie in me coming out. Like, this is not.
This is great.
Our longtime listeners know our disgust at Dunkin' Donuts.
I've heard you guys talk about it before, but I was like, you know what? Stick some sweetener in there. How bad can it be? They didn't put nearly enough. I think the way that I usually would like my coffee is about half a cup of sweetener with just a touch of coffee.
Yeah, can I have some coffee with my sweetener, please?
Yeah. And that's not at all what I have in my hand.
A word of advice for you for next time. Yeah. Next time, specify French vanilla swirl.
Vanilla
the swirl will rock your world.
That's the sugar.
Because what you've got here is the sugar-free French vanilla. So if it doesn't have sugar in it, it's going to be coffee with that hint of French vanilla, but no sweetener. So it's going to taste. And you have adequately described what Dunkin' Donuts coffee tastes like. So it tastes like French vanilla on the bottom of your shoe.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it's not bad. You know, it's not bad.
There's worse.
As I'm getting older, the bitters start to taste a little better to me. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. That's.
Okay, so Sal, what are you drinking?
So I'm drinking a little bit better. I'm actually drinking a Starbucks Pike's Place. Yeah, Pike's Place, which is their medium roast. I am drinking it black this time again, which is normally not how I drink my coffee. But with a quality coffee like Starbucks Pike Place, you really don't need to put much in it. No. And it is, compared to Ryan's coffee, it is the more bitter coffee. But in their range of coffee, I used to not like Pike's Place.
It's in the middle, actually.
It's actually in the middle.
The medium, because they can go dark roast, like Verona blend, where it's like drinking ash out of the ashtray. Yeah. It's like so burnt.
This tastes like Grandma's house.
Wow, yeah. So,
my Grandma's house.
So, tastes like Grandma's house.
Sorry.
Hey, Ryan. Could you give me that pack of cigarettes over there?
You want some coffee? I got some coffee.
My vocal's so clipped there. Anyway, so I guess I'll talk about what I'm drinking.
Yeah, what do you got?
So I am drinking out of the Keurig, Folgers 1850, the Folger Coffee Company Pioneer Blend, fire roasted medium roast coffee, and they say it's balanced and nutty. The only nutty thing about it is it sucks.
You are nutty to buy it.
This is the worst ever. This is I maybe not the worst ever. I mean, there's like Sanka and other things like that, but this is pretty up there.
Fell victim to good marketing. I think they were going for the nostalgia.
Yeah. I just was drawn in by the pioneer, being out in the wilderness, brewing in the old like tin percolators, over the campfire, like I was like, ooh, I'm gonna be rugged. Look at I'm growing a beard to be rugged, and this just tastes like I probably can't appropriately say what it tastes like. It's just bad.
So if you hear the Keurig go off again, it's probably Todd.
Todd running for coffee redemption. Oh boy. Well, I guess that is our He Brews segment. So now, my friends, you know where we're at?
Our most excellent music segment!
Segment. Yeah, so okay, so again, Ryan, would you do the honors? What are you listening to?
Yeah, all right. So, gosh, I had a few things because I knew I was going to be asked about this. So I'd been thinking a little bit. Honestly, I'd been listening to a lot of stand-up comedy lately, but that's not music. So I figured I'd skip all that. And then I had another song that I wanted to talk about this morning. It's not a recent one. And I had it all lined up. I was going to talk about it, but then on my station this morning, driving out to my church this morning, the new album from Starset started playing, and a song called Trials came on, and it is kicking.
Is that a contemporary Christian?
No, Starset is, to be honest, I'm a fan of theirs, but I'm not a huge fan, so I don't know all the ins and outs. I can't tell you if they're a Christian band or not. I don't think so. But there are a lot of songs that I can worship to with these guys.
Sure.
And they're heavy metal, some screaming, some electronica, orchestra. Like, they kind of mix all this stuff up. You know, they list some of their influences as like Hans Zimmer, the film composer, Linkin Park, you know, some heavy stuff. And these guys, I'll tell you, they write. It's super cool, right? So they've got, I think, 3 albums. 2014, I think a 17, and then one just came out in 19, which I'm only just now starting to get acquainted with. And they have this whole setup where Starset is like a crew or a mission that was sent out from some larger intergalactic organization. They have this whole backstory. They've got a novella, like a novel, accompanying their band and telling these big stories that kind of go back and forth. And the music itself is just incredible. Please check out Starset.
I will.
These guys are amazing. Crank the speakers if you can, because this song's Trials.
I got them in my iPad.
Oh my goodness. Trials starts off heavy.
My kind of song.
So listen, so like some of these lyrics, the chorus goes like this: these trials make us who we are. We're motivated by the scars that we're made of. These trials make us who we are. We take our places in the dark and turn our hearts to the stars. So a lot of the stuff that they write could be seen as kind of anti-establishment, like a lot of Big Brother stuff. If you look at some of their music videos, they've got that kind of Big Brother atmosphere, almost like a Blade Runner kind of feel to it.
One of their pictures on Wikipedia.
Yeah. That's their lead singer there. So it's got a lot of that feel. So their music actually gives you that sense as well.
Okay.
Like, it sounds very much like that. These guys are great. And so, you know, one of their choruses here, hear me from the bottom, forged in regret, I'm the silversmith. Doomsday, you had it coming, march in the streets with an iron fist. Obey no more in silence. The steel in our hearts will be monuments. Today, they'll hear the violence. We'll rise from the dark like Lazarus. And then they go into the chorus again. These trials make us who we are.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily Christian stuff. The song that I was going to talk about, Carnivore, from back in 2014, Carnivore, won't you come digest me, take away everything that I am. And to me,
I wonder what that's referencing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, honestly, I was picturing Aslan.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe fan, and C.S. Lewis and his fiction stuff. And, like, you know, the unsafe part of Aslan, like what he does to, oh shoot, I can't remember the kid's name now. I'm blanking on it, but he turned into a dragon, and he ripped with his claws, ripped the scales off from him, and it hurt like crazy, but it made him become who he was again, and it took away the dragonness of him. And so, like, that kind of thing, like, a lot of their stuff can be seen as kind of anti-establishment. And honestly, if you're looking at the lyrics to this song, if you were biased against the church or the institution of the church, you could say that this song is about that.
Wow, yeah.
Rebelling against the church.
Sure.
For me, coming from a place where, I mean, I get that kind of bias. You know, plenty of people have been burned by the church. That's legit. But from my perspective, this is kind of about the freedom of the tyranny of my sin. It's the freedom from the tyranny of the chains on me from Satan, and rebelling against that. It's kind of standing up. And so, yeah, it gets me fired up.
That's
like,
awesome.
I'm in the car ready to just, like, do push-ups or something like that. So it's
any song that gets you in the mood to do push-ups is a
Well, it's like watching Rocky 4. Every time I'm done watching Rocky 4, I'm ready to punch people. And it doesn't even matter who it is. I'm just ready to go out and...
Note to self, do not watch Rocky 4 sitting next to Ryan.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's such good stuff. So it fires me up. So that's what I'm listening to. Starset, particularly Trials. I've listened to it about 20 times.
Well, I'm going to be checking them out because I haven't heard of them before. And,
Do it.
And now I'm excited.
They're exciting stuff. Yeah.
Okay, Sal.
So I'm actually been listening a lot this week to 21 Pilots.
Yeah.
Ironically, because you recommended a song recently by AJR, 100 Bad Days.
100 Bad Days. Such a good song.
Great song.
Such a great song.
Then I was like, these guys sound like 21 Pilots. Then I went back to listen to 21 Pilots. I was like, and I started adding their albums to Apple Music.
Mm-hmm.
So there's I could go into 2 songs by them, and I might. But kind of this song they have called Tear in My Heart.
Ooh. That's a fave.
Yeah. Makes me think of my wife and what she is in my life. Hey, Allison.
Hi, Allison.
So the lyrics are, sometimes you gotta bleed to know that you're alive and have a soul, but it takes someone to come around to show you how. She's a tear in my heart, I'm alive. She's a tear in my heart, I'm on fire. She's a tear in my heart, take me higher than I've ever been. The songs on the radio are okay, but my taste in music is your face.
I love that.
And it takes a song to come around to show you how. Repeats the chorus. You fell asleep in my car. I drove the whole time, but that's okay. I'll just avoid the holes so you can sleep fine. I always do the driving. I'm driving, here I sit, cursing my government for not using my taxes to fill the holes with more cement. And then, oh yeah, but this is my favorite verse. Good. My favorite verse of the song, which what makes me think of Allison is he says, "My heart is my armor. She's the tear in my heart. She's a carver. She's a butcher with a smile. Cut me farther than I've ever been."
Ooh, Allison.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's true. Like that's our relationship. Is she knows the cuts in my heart and where to pick at them to get us to be open and honest with each other. So
yeah, Allison's
she brings the best out of me.
She does.
It's like a surgeon's scalpel more than an assailant's knife.
She's not so much a butcher. But
yeah.
More the cutting to bring healing kind of a thing. Yeah.
But there's another song on one of their albums called Migraine, and it's like, and I suffer from migraines, and that's a great album. The great thing about 21 Pilots is they're based out of Ohio. I know that they've said in the past that they are Christians. They're not a Christian-specific band. Yeah. But I know that it's 2 guys. It's Tyler and Josh, I think, are the names, and it's just Tyler's the singer and a multi-instrumentalist, and Josh, or I think that's the drummer. He's a drummer, so every song of theirs is drum driven.
What you just said reminds me of our good friend Shane, the Reverend Leviathan, when he says, just because you have 4 Christians in a car doesn't make it a Christian car. It's like truth, but that kind of thing. Yeah.
So I heard their latest album doesn't have as many Christian themes in it, but all their albums deal with anxiety and depression. And like their song "Car Radio."
Oh, that's so good.
So good. Like it verbalizes what anxiety and depression is to the T. Mm-hmm. And he's the line, "I sit in silence." Mm-hmm. And then if you watch the music,
he screams it.
Then he screams it. But if you watch the video, it's him sitting in a corner and he's, basically rapping the lyrics. And as he's doing it, he's shaving his head. And then towards the end of the last minute of the song, he puts a mask on and goes out into the arena and just stands in the middle of the crowd and then starts screaming, "I sit in the silence." And it's like that visualizes, I think, what a lot of clergy go through of being so anxiety ridden, but yet we got to put this mask on and go out into the world.
That's why I like Demon Hunter and Ryan Clark's special project Knives, and their first full-length album Knives. It was them and the guy from Project 86. But
oh wow!
And so it's Ryan Clark and the guy from Project 86, and
I'm tasting the vanilla now.
Now you're getting to the vanilla.
Yeah, like I had to drink a little bit more now.
So they came out with this project called Knives, and their first album was called Anxiety, and we've listened to it. I mean, I could crawl up into a dark corner of my house and cry to that album because it just speaks to who, well, not to who I am, but to the things that plague me and keep me from being fully who I am, and that's
I put the car radio song on, and that's the great thing about Apple Music is you can just click an album and you have access to it. Put it on it, and I was driving to meet Allison last Friday at the hospital, and bawled my eyes out.
So good. Have you heard Trees by 21 Pilots?
I don't think so.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About listening for like why isn't God talking to me? And I'm here. Where's your voice? Come on.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Check out Trees.
Sounds good.
That's a good one.
We'll definitely check it out.
That's fantastic.
So my offering,
Yeah.
which I kind of gave away, is Demon Hunter. Because they speak to me for a whole host of different reasons, and every album just has something to offer. And their latest album is their latest albums are called War and Peace. War is the more like full on heavy, and Peace is the more, it's not entirely mellow, it's more hard rock though and melodic. I of course went for a song off of War called Lesser Gods. And every time I hear this song, it really speaks to me, and I think it speaks to me in my own life, but it also speaks to me in terms of the reality we find ourselves in as a society. And so the lyrics go like this: when days fall dark and when days fall dark, everything will fall apart. No path to guide, solace for a shattered heart. Inside, something in your soul will beg you why. What gain is it to live and die? Here we stand to turn and face the odds. Sacrifice yourself or bow to lesser gods. If this is all, where though will we meet again? I won't relent, suffer to a bitter end. Inside, something in your soul will beg you why. What gain is it to live and die? Here we stand to turn and face the odds, sacrifice yourself or bow to lesser gods. I could keep reading the lyrics, but when I hear that, here we stand to turn and face the odds, sacrifice yourself or bow to lesser gods. When I look at the choices we have to make in our own personal lives and in our own society, we're constantly being faced with this. Are we going to be who we claim to be, especially as Christians, speaking from a Christian perspective? Are we going to be who we claim to be? Are we going to be whose we claim to be? Or are we going to compromise ourselves? And in doing so, we bow to lesser gods. And I think of the way we look to our politicians, the way we look to our government, the way we look to our wealth, the way we look to, you name it. And
our reputation.
We are so clutching on to all of these different things around us that they become our gods.
So many things we serve that aren't Jesus.
Absolutely. And it just speaks so powerfully to me, but also to the state of the church, to the state of our society. It really is a song that has something deep and profound to say.
Well, it's a personal question as well as a organizational corporate question.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a number of levels that can be a measuring stick for, or
Absolutely. So that's my offering. Definitely check it out. It's heavy as anything. It's just like. So definitely when you're in the car and you've got Starset on, pair it up with Demon Hunter and blast your radio.
Yeah, Starset's heavy and fun stuff like that, but it's a very different style.
Different style
than Demon Hunter, yeah.
Yep, but blast your radio.
Yep. Yeah, right, yeah.
So, and then you were offering up 21 pilots, yeah. So, blast your radio. Okay, well, that is our most excellent music segment. And now we're going to do something that we've not done before called our gratitude segment, because this is the month of gratitude. We shouldn't be gracious or grateful. We shouldn't be grateful 11 months out of the year, but 1 month out of the year we need to show our gratitude, right guys?
What's the hymn? Give thanks with an open heart. Give thanks.
We gather together to give. Okay.
I've heard some spoofs that I won't say on air. So
We have the ability to bleep out.
we do have the censorship bleep. Not that we've ever been caught needing that.
no, I've never.
So, who wants to go first? What are you grateful for?
The irony that the three pastors have to think about this.
Well, I think what causes the pause is more where do you start?
Yeah.
Because gratitude is something that one cultivates. It's no one's default language. You got to cultivate it. And I think pastors, it's a language that you learn, not a skill that you're born with. So I think pastors, I think, have to work really hard to develop that language.
I also think there's a misconception in our culture of gratitude versus happiness. Because whenever I hear that cliche attitude of gratitude, what people mean when they say that is be happy.
Put on a happy face. Yeah.
Don't register that you have any sadness
So before we go into that, because that'll be our next segment.
Okay.
Like, name something you're grateful for.
Okay. Got ahead.
That's okay. It was a good.
You get three clergy together, and that's how happens.
We're all gonna preach, man.
Let me pull out my commentary.
We're all gonna preach.
I'm grateful for this dense book of insights.
Grateful for my commentaries. What a nerdy response, man. Oh my goodness.
That is so mainline Christianity.
Which means I'm going to hell. Oh, sorry.
Today I'm grateful for my family. That's not to say that other days I'm not, but it's to say that some days you feel thankful for things more acutely than others. And today I'm feeling my family. I'm just really grateful. My immediate family as well as my extended. Just feeling the love, feeling the support for a number of reasons. Sickness going through the family, and Andrea, my wife, and I, going out of town this weekend. By the time this airs, we will have already been out, but having family support to make that possible, to come in and watch the kids, and thankful for my kids. They're doing great in school. Kids came back from school today, all jazzed, happy to see me, happy to see that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm feeling the family thing today. So it's
a good thing to be grateful for.
That's what I'll say for this one right here.
And I kind of mentioned it in my most excellent music review, was feeling gratitude for
your most excellent Allison.
My most excellent wife, Allison.
Yeah,
cool.
We've got some stuff developing, her and I. There's some stuff that's growing. And
Are you trying to lay out a hint here?
I will go into detail in a later podcast what that all means. But yeah, I just looking back over the last 5 years that we've been together, and 2.5 years that we've been married, like, I am a lucky guy.
Well,
Fantastic.
in that, how do we put it? In that revealing non-reveal that you will spell out later for us at some other point. That is an awesome thing to be grateful for. And I'm actually grateful for Allison as well, and for you, Sal, and for you, Ryan, and your family. Grateful for my own family. I feel like, if I don't say I'm grateful for my family, I'm going to be the bum. I'm going to be the bum in the room. I am absolutely grateful for, like in January, my wife and I will be celebrating our 20th anniversary.
All right, man.
20th anniversary. Cool. How I managed to stay married to her for 20 years Like how
Better
she
watch
managed.
your words.
Well, no, I mean, what I'm saying is how I managed to last that long in this marriage, means she must really love me or she's absolutely insane. I don't know which one it is. You tell me, Bernie. But I am very thankful for her. She is my rock. I would not be a pastor today if it were not for her. She's the one that helped me re-realize. I mean, I had the call when I was young, but she's the one that helped me realize I needed to actually look back to that call and remember it and answer it. Yeah. And she's just supported me all the way. We did what we had to make it work, and we continue to do that. And so, I'm very thankful for her. I'm thankful for my kids. My oldest is in college, rocking out the college world, much smarter than I am. And my youngest is just doing really well in high school, loves singing. God gifted her with a beautiful voice, and gifted my older daughter with a beautiful voice too. Though I wish she would realize it. And they're both talented musically, and it's just a pleasure to have family. The thing I was going to mention that I'm grateful for, aside from my family, because that I am grateful for, I'm grateful that I got to go see Joker with my friend Ryan here on opening night. Totally a spontaneous, hey, let's go do it.
Yeah. Before all the violence erupted.
Yeah.
Surrounding the movie. No,
before all of the violence. Before people were shooting each other in the streets.
Yeah. We managed to miss all that. So.
Babylon B did a great job in spoofing that. Yeah. The non-violence that, they were really, what it is that, and I figured this out, but Todd Phillips, the director, kind of, he in an interview, he called out Hollywood for the PC culture and how he would never make a comedy again because of the way you have to be careful of saying this and careful of doing that. Yeah. And the movie itself, without spoiling it for somebody who hasn't seen it yet, not that I need to name him because I already named the one who saw it with me.
Todd, Ryan. That's me.
This is a movie that really asks the question, where are we as a society? And where are we not only in terms of the politics and the political powers that be, but also entertainment? Like what's the role of egging on the division we see in our society on that end? Where's our own personal role in all of this?
Well, it begs the question of balance in terms of where does responsibility lie for an individual's actions?
Yeah.
So how much does society play into it versus how much does an individual's response to that society and culture play into it? And obviously, I think anyone would say that both factors play in.
Yeah.
But obviously the difference comes in as to how much both plays into, and so where does the quote-unquote fault lie? And one could argue whether that question is even helpful. Where's the fault in that?
Yeah.
Coming from our perspective, of course, sin is the ever present cause for all that stuff. But the movie does a good job in not saying whose quote-unquote fault it is that the Joker became
There's no
Joker.
judgment there.
But it's just kind of like you kind of leave with your own thought on it, your own take on it.
And
so
it really deals with mental health in a very constructive way. It shows what the acting that Joaquin Phoenix did is just, you have to see it to believe it. And
it was almost as good as I would have done it. I mean,
it's just
amazing.
right a notch under Ryan's quality. But he just becomes this mentally ill person, and you really, because of it, you almost experience his mental illness with him, and it's just visceral and powerful and scary, and just, I mean, that scene in the very beginning of the movie where he's opening his mouth up and putting it into a smile.
Yeah, that's in the trailer.
And it's in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away. And then he lets go. And as he's doing it, you can see a tear coming from his eye and taking the makeup down with it. And, it's just
and
so...
you're not sure if it's the physical pain, because he's really cranking on making that smile with his fingers. You're not sure if it's the physical pain or the emotional pain.
All the
You're
above.
not sure what it is,
Yeah.
but you see it, and
Yeah, so that's what
It's tight.
I'm grateful for that film. We needed that film, I think, and the critics can go to hell. I don't know, maybe not in an eternal sense, but
Yeah, it's a quality flick.
it was quality.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you see critics going, this is like on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 68% rotten, 68% fresh.
Is that what it has?
From the critics, it's
wow.
like 90-something% fresh from the users.
Yeah.
So and Rotten Tomatoes actually still certified it fresh despite the critics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because they know what's going on there.
Right,
it's
yeah.
a political agenda. So
interesting.
go see the film. Okay. So that's our gratitude segment, and now we're gonna go for, hey Sal.
Tanks for Nuttin.
Oh yeah! Yeah! We're tanks for Nuttin!
Thanks for nuttin'.
Thanks for nothing.
And for those of you who have watched
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack, you'll know the reference. Thanks for
It's
nothing.
been years.
Okay, so now let's get into the topic of gratitude. What is gratitude?
Is that the setting off question there? Is what is gratitude?
Yeah, what is gratitude? It's easy, right? Simple two minute answer. Okay, Ryan, go.
Yeah, I alluded earlier to it. Some of my mindset when it comes to gratitude, how there's some people who just kind of walk around with smiles on their faces all the time, and you just kind of want to like backhand them across the cheek or something like that, and just be like, man, come on, man, really? And it just seems so kind of annoying that it's like I could never be that way. Some people are just naturally this way, naturally optimistic or thankful or whatever. But that mindset, that mentality doesn't help anybody when it comes to cultivating gratefulness, because it then just becomes an excuse. You have an excuse to say, you have an excuse to stay bitter, to stay angry about things. And what helped me out a lot was coming across this kind of mindset shift where going from gratitude is not a skill that you're born with; it's a language that you learn. Our default language is bitterness, it's resentment, it's holding a grudge. Like that's my default language. That's but thankfulness is a language that you learn, and learning a language only comes through learning the vocabulary and then practicing it.
Yeah.
And so you can learn the vocabulary, like coming from a Christian perspective, the scriptures. Here's your vocabulary right there. You've got your model in Jesus and all this kind of stuff. And then you put it into practice, and you only get good at it by putting it into practice.
That's right.
And then I've heard you can only determine that you're fluent in a language when you start thinking in that language. And so when you start becoming fluent in gratitude, what I would call thankfulese, then that affects how you think and your whole thought process. So it can change effectively who you are, your thought process and everything like that, simply through practice, which means it's accessible to anybody. Is it easy? No. But it's accessible to anybody. Which kind of brings in, Sal, you were talking earlier about the difference between happiness and gratitude, and just how if that's a skill that you can cultivate and become fluent in it, it then doesn't become situation dependent,
right.
circumstantially dependent. You can employ gratitude at any time. Yeah. So
it's cultivating and I mentioned before, I don't necessarily like the term have an attitude of gratitude.
No.
Because it's kind of cliche, and I think that diminishes the fact that not everyone has that language, like Ryan's saying. But it's about being able to say thank you. I think of a Jason Gray song called "Thank You." He talks about thank you for the good times and thank you for the bad times, because in the bad times I was able to focus on the good times and learn from those bad times. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Eckhart Tolle. He's not a Christian. He's just kind of like a spiritual guru.
Okay. Yeah. We better get out of the room before Satan enters in.
So if I get struck down for heresy, you know why. with lightning. But one of his famous quotes is, if the only prayer you can ever say is thank you, that'll be enough. And that's kind of the idea of gratitude, is even in the moment being able to say thank you.
So let me ask this then. Where does gratitude start? What I mean by that is, how do we begin? What is the starting point? How do we begin to cultivate a spirit of gratitude? I was trying to not say attitude of gratitude.
Go ahead, say it. No, you want to say it. Just say it.
Say it.
It was ready to boil out. Boil.
Well, coming from an evangelical mindset,
We won't hold that against you.
That's why we like you.
What I would say is, where does gratitude start? That was the question, right? What is the seed of gratitude, essentially?
Yeah.
I would say that it comes from a right understanding of the gospel. A right understanding of not just the corporate ramifications of the gospel, of redemption of all of creation and things like that, but also the personal ramifications of, Titus 3, at one time we too were foolish, disobedient, deceived, and enslaved by all kinds of passions and pleasures. We lived in malice and envy, being hated and hating one another. But when the kindness and love of God our Savior appeared, he saved us. And then it goes on. So understanding that was my status, that was my default, that's who I was, deceived, fooled, enslaved, and then I was redeemed by that. The deeper you sit in that reality, the more of an understanding you have of that in your life, the personal outgrowth of the gospel, this attitude of gratitude cultivates. It grows from there. It starts small. Sometimes you're not even aware of it. But when you are so grateful for that, which can't be shaken by any circumstances because it's already happened, then your outlook on everything else changes. It's like when you're dating somebody for the very first time. Your attitude is affected by your relationship with one person, but the way you see everything else is different. So when you have that relationship with the gospel, that is always new, you're always plumbing new depths of realization of it. Everything you see is colored by that spirit of gratitude for it. So that's what I'd say as far as the seed shooting from the hip here.
Then I would say in my reformed understanding, kind of look into Romans 5, where sin abounds, grace abounds evermore. The idea that our goodness is not good enough, but Christ is. Similar line, out of the gospel. The gospel is the good news of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's where it roots out of, from my reformed understanding. It is that acceptance in my. I love what Paul Tillich says, based on his sermon on Romans 5:25. Accept that you're accepted despite your unacceptability.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about. My gratitude flows out of the fact that I can rest in the comfort knowing that whatever I do, my past doesn't count because God's already accepted me for who I am.
Yeah, and out of my Wesleyan perspective, it's not any different from the Reformed perspective. I mean, we are saved by our faith. We are saved by grace through our faith in Jesus Christ, and what that means is that at our base, right, without God, we are absolutely fallen, totes depraved. There's nothing we can do to merit or work our way into salvation. I love Romans chapter 7 when Paul says, look, when I know I should do something, I don't do it. Yeah. When I try not to do something, I do it anyway. Yeah. Oh, what a wretched man I am. Who will save me from myself, right? Yeah. Thanks be to God for Jesus Christ. Yeah. And so, ultimately, apart from God, we are helpless and hopeless. But because of God's grace, because God gave us the grace to even recognize God's there, because God gave us the grace to respond to God, because God gave us the grace through Jesus Christ to be redeemed once we recognize our need for redemption and salvation, and because God gave us the grace to progress forward in our journey in becoming more perfect, preparing for that day we enter the kingdom of God. I can, what I think it ultimately comes down to is, and what I hear, I think, commonly in both of what you're saying and what I'm trying to say is gratitude starts from a place of humility. Mm-hmm. Because in order for me to be truly grateful, I have to recognize how much I have that I ought not to have because of God. Right. Starting with my own salvation, starting with my own being, everything, every good gift, and really everything is a gift from God.
Yeah. I like what Judah Smith says in one of his sermons, that we can play games, we can play church games, and we can argue about who's more blessed than who's blessed and who's not. But you cut down to the chase, it's God. It's all about God. Mm-hmm. We're blessed because of God.
Yeah.
There was a sermon that a previous pastor of mine preached back in a previous church of mine, and it was about expectations, and we have a saying in recovery that says expectations are just premeditated resentments. So like when you have expectations set up, you're basically planning on those not being met and being resentful about it. So expectations, premeditated resentments. And in this sermon, he wasn't talking through that phrase, but the idea was expectations can be setups, really, in relationships. He used the illustration of marriage, where if my wife was home and she had an expectation that as soon as I came home from work, I was going to do the dishes, clean the kitchen, and play with the kids. If as soon as I came home, if I did those things, all that would happen is I would meet her expectations. I would be up to 0. I would be zeroed out. But if she didn't have those expectations and I came in and did even one of them, or 2 of them, or all 3 of them, she can then receive that as love. She can receive that then as an overabundance and be blessed by that. And so when you were talking about gratitude, Todd, being about humility, that's what it reminded me of. Like we can't be
Grateful.
Thank you. We can't be
gratituded.
We can't be gratitudinal if we expect the rewards that we have received. If we felt that we somehow deserved them, all that does is bring us up to 0. We're not grateful for them. Those are what we expected. Right. I earned that eternal life. Absolutely. I earned this salvation, so therefore it's what I had coming to me, so I can't be grateful for it. It's just meeting an expectation.
And that sums up, I think, pretty plainly what Christianity is not about. It's not, if I do this, I'll get this.
Right.
If I do this, I'll get salvation.
Yeah.
But yet, haven't we done a bad job at articulating that in the church? Because one of the things I really see in the church is, well, I accepted the Lord Jesus in my heart, and now I'm saved, and all the rest of those people need to come to know Jesus. And then we come to expect our own salvation because we've bought into this social club that we've built up called the church. And I see that attitude a lot.
Yeah, I just watched. There's a show on HBO called The Righteous Gemstones, and it's a parody on the whole televangelist kind of prosperity gospel. But in the season finale, I watched the main, the figurehead of the family.
It's John Goodman?
Yes.
See that?
John Goodman.
Yeah.
He gets, all of this stuff builds up that's happening in the season, and John Goodman character gets mad, and he has a little Jesus bobblehead that was his brother-in-law's, and he gets angry, and he chucks it across the room, and it shatters. And then his 3 kids are like, that was baby Jesus. And like,
sweet baby Jesus.
And like, he's like, no, it wasn't. He's like, that was Jesus. And so they all freak out, and so they're all trying to glue this little Jesus back together. Like, no, Jesus is not the bobblehead. They actually the end of the episode really did, I think, speak well about forgiveness and around sin. But I thought that was. I mean, that's where American Christianity is right now. Is the bobblehead of Jesus, not the gratitude, the humility, the journey to follow Jesus. It's just, well, I said this prayer to Jesus. I'm saved now. So,
I think, like, in our culture, well, first off, our culture is all about instant gratification, all about, like, what can you give me now? And and then what we do, since we're in the month of Thanksgiving, right? Then what we do is we have a month where we commemorate that this is the month where we're thankful for, and then we list the things we're thankful for. And what is the list? Well, I'm thankful I got a new job. I'm thankful I got a new car. I'm thankful for the food on my table. I'm thankful I'm around friends and family. But it's a laundry list of things that we're thankful for.
Material things.
But it's mostly material things or familial things, and it doesn't. That's not what gratitude's about, I don't think. I mean, those things come out of gratitude, but all that is on its own is just a list of things I'm happy with, things I'm glad I have, as opposed to as opposed to my existence being centered on the joy of being, even a sinner such as myself, the joy of being included into the family of God, and everything else that happens in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of that, through all of that, and in all of that, I am grateful. I think what we have is I'm grateful when things are going well, but I am not so grateful when things aren't going well. I think a person who is truly a person of gratitude, who's cultivated gratitude in their lives, are grateful no matter the circumstances.
I think when our identity is grounded and rooted in Christ, can you begin to formulate an attitude of gratitude?
And that gets back to what you said, Sal, earlier before we got into the segment, where we confuse happiness with gratefulness. We confuse happiness with gratitude. You can be unhappy and still grateful.
Yeah.
Just like you can be unhappy and still joyful.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, went through a really tough season with Allison. And
oh, here he goes. Airing the dirty laundry.
But this was a rough season in our life, and so my boss at the time expected everyone just be happy, be positive. We need to, push forward an attitude of happiness. Don't portray or project any kind of negativity. But part of the Christian life, especially as clergy, is to walk with people through the valleys and the mountains. So I shared a couple of spiritual lessons around the idea of grief and negativity, because that, if you have a good understanding of biblical history, that's part of what you get. And I got a negative review that year because I was too negative. I needed to be happy. No, I had gratitude for my life, and I had gratitude in what was around me, but I was rooted in the fact that just because I have Christ doesn't mean everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. Like, as if Christians should be, if you're a Christian, you should be walking around like Marsha Brady, like, Marsha.
Yeah.
Well, gratitude is, excuse me, going back to your comment, Todd, about humility. Gratitude is inherently an act of self-denial.
Yeah.
It is not about self. It's about it's others focused, which is inherently these days countercultural.
Yes,
because we're being told that this is what you need to be happy. Happiness is found when you receive this, when you get this, when you earn this. You deserve this. We are giving this to you, and so that's what we're conditioned to respond to understand. And so the fact that we respond, what are you grateful for? Well, grateful for my job, grateful for my family. Excuse me. That it makes sense to me that would be our natural response. But changing our default to being others focused, that's when your gratitude can transcend the individual circumstances and things.
Yeah.
The culture is very when it's not a love of neighbor focused Christianity, when it's a self-centered sort of me-centered, like you said, everything you need to do is me-centered to be happy and grateful. That's not true gratitude, because it's not a other or neighbor-based sacrificial.
I'll give a real practical example, and I may have talked about this to some degree in the past, but I'm grateful for my struggle with mental illness. I am a person who has suffered from my teenage years, maybe earlier, but that's when I came to terms with it to a degree. I've suffered my whole life long with depression, and the older I get, the more I realize I've suffered from pretty serious anxiety, and I'm grateful for that, because now in ministry, as somebody who has all of these years and experience behind me, now in ministry, I am being used in a way to comfort other people who have the same exact thing. I'm grateful I was bullied as a kid, and that and this is going to be a big reveal, but that I it's not a big reveal for anyone who knows me, but I got messed up when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I experimented with drugs. I drank, got drunk. All of those things, of course, were masking my depression and the other things that I was doing. Were all really cropped out of that, came out of that. But I'm glad for those experiences, because you know what? When a kid came in drunk to my open mic night, I knew what I needed to do in that moment, and that was to welcome them and let them be there. Yeah. Whereas other people might have said, "Oh, you're drunk, get out." So like, those were dark, hard times in my life that at the time I wasn't happy, and at the time I didn't have an attitude of gratitude, so to speak. but cultivating that gratitude, my Christian journey has helped me cultivate that gratitude, and now I can look back at those things. And even when I'm going through something now, like there are things going on in my life now that are just a hassle, annoying. I wish I didn't have to go through it, and yet I'm grateful because I know that God is there with me, and this isn't about me; it's about God and what God is doing.
It's like the song that I was talking about earlier, the song "Trials" by Starset. These trials make us who we are. We're motivated by the scars that we're made of. These trials make us who we are. We take our places in the dark and turn our hearts to the stars.
Amen.
We know, I've had some low times as well. It's not a secret that I've been in recovery for a few years and for various issues. But because I've been in those dark corners, because I've been through some of those journeys, I can then sit in those places with people, but kind of turn my heart outward and be able to walk with people out towards a place of hope.
Right.
That's right.
And so that's where, we don't have to be thankful that we experienced those things, but we can be thankful for how God has redeemed it, which is a huge aspect of the gospel that just floors me.
Amen.
I love the idea of, in the hands of our Redeemer, nothing's wasted. And
God doesn't waste a hurt. God never wastes a hurt. That's a
Ryan and I spoke about this earlier. My own personal struggles of going through a divorce and the shame and the guilt and the depression around that made me the pastoral caregiver that I am today.
Do
you know what the Bible says on divorce, by the way? No.
I know I'm going to hell.
I'm only kidding.
It says God loves Sal. That's what it says.
That's what it
says about divorce. It says God loves Sal.
Where sin abounds, grace.
It's in the book of Hebrews.
Second Keurig.
Second Keurig.
Yeah, man.
No, but that's. I think I'm not saying
Second Keurig.
Second Keurig.
Chapter 18, verse 50.
The Book of Folgers.
In the Book of Folgers, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're saying that you have to go through some great trial to
No.
have gratitude. It's just saying gratitude comes out of a place where you can recognize.
Yeah, those examples are not exclusive to gratitude. I think those examples highlight that gratitude's not something that just comes out of positive, fluffy, good experiences. Gratitude is a state of being. So no matter what your circumstances are, you're still grateful.
Well, that goes back to your initial question. What is the seed of gratitude? It's not these difficult circumstances that we've had.
No.
That's not the seed of gratitude. The seed of gratitude is Jesus.
Jesus.
It's Jesus and our standing before him, what God has done for us on the cross.
Yeah.
And that impacts how we walk through those moments of darkness. And in those moments of darkness, it's not like, I'm not feeling particularly grateful during those moments.
No.
So it's not like you're a bad Christian if you're going through these dark times and you don't feel grateful.
Yeah.
That's not what that means at all. What it does mean, though, is that, one, talk to other people, don't isolate, because then you only have your perspective and you can talk to other people who can remind you of your status before God.
Right.
And give you that perspective. But it can also give you at least a hope for, okay, look, I'm not feeling grateful right now, but we have another saying in recovery. I'm going to be busting these out all the time. We overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what God can do in a year. And so, I want to be out of this dark place today. What can I do to get myself out of this? Shake myself out of this, whatever. But we can't do that. We can't do that in a day, whatever. But we underestimate what God can do in a year. So having the attitude of gratitude and not isolating ourselves, hearing from other people, can give us the perspective to say, all right, you know what? This stinks right now.
Yeah.
This legitimately sucks. But what's God going to show me in a year? Yeah. How will I be different, and how will I have grown? And that can give you a sense of hope that even if you don't feel good now, there's a hope in the future that awaits you.
That's my very first tattoo was the Cairo, the first two letters in Greek for Christ, and I got it on my arm specifically because the only constant in my life during those trials was Christ. And I got it so that when I reach my hand out to help somebody else, I am literally reaching out the hand of Christ.
Right on.
And
That's
then
awesome.
My theme of hope on my arm again. Rebellions are built on hope. Every day is a rebellion against the tyranny of hopelessness.
Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, December.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I would say is that I think what you said, Ryan, actually gets to the heart of it. The seed of gratitude is Jesus Christ, and that seed can only be planted in humble soil. Yeah. I mean, it can be planted, but it'll only grow in humble soil. So it can be planted in other soils, but it's not going to grow until that soil's humble. Which would equal fertile.
What's that whole parable about the seed falls on the rocky ground?
Right. Yeah. So I think we've had a good discussion on gratitude. I'm grateful for you talking to us about this.
Yeah, guys, this is good. So I think Sal won that one. Do we hand out points for these or no?
No.
I will take all the points. Thank you. Humility.
Hey, Sal.
It's like whose line is it
Thanks
anywhere?
for nuttin'.
Thanks for nuttin'.
Oh yeah! Well, thanks for nuttin'.
So, now we're gonna get to our conclusion. So to explain this, I put it together an agenda pretty much every time we record, and evidently I spelt conclusion, CONCLUSIONG.
Conclusion.
Conclusion.
We are Creole today. So.
We're Creole. Oh boy. So I just want to really thank you, Ryan, for coming on. Ryan, Sal, and I are really good friends and colleagues, and we serve in relatively the same area, and we're a part of the same clergy group, and it just became imperative to me and to Sal to invite Ryan onto the show.
When Ryan shared with us that he's become a fan of the show, and I think you've listened to pretty much all the episodes.
I've heard pretty much all. There were a couple after you guys had been recording for a little while before I even met you guys and learned. But so I didn't hear all of those previous ones, but I heard a few of them. Yeah. But then I've heard them all since.
Right.
So put them out once a month, so that it's easy to get to them, to catch up.
Right.
So
we knew we had to get you on there.
Yeah, man, that's great.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun being here. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, and we're glad to have you here, and I'm sure we'll have you on again. But I guess what I would do is point you to check out our episode notes. We're going to post all of the things there that we've discussed, or at least the ones that we can remember we discussed. And we also invite you to check out our Patreon account and subscribe to that. We now have 2 subscribers.
This is a shout out to Allison and Joe, our 2 patrons.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Excellent.
It's really awesome to know that at least 2 people really dig our show. Boy, we're becoming stars.
We're cooking.
But no, we really appreciate you supporting us. I mean, that support helps us do what we do, and this costs this costs for us to do, and we do it because we love it, and we would do it whether we had 0 patrons or 100 patrons. But the more people that can dig deep into their wallet and pay the minimal $2 $2 or $5 or $10 tier
for the cost of a coffee or latte drink at Starbucks, you can support this ministry. You can go catch us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple iTunes, especially iTunes. If you leave us a review that tells Apple that we're.
Let me tell you, if you are a person who lives in the tri-state area, and pizza, right? Good pizza. I'm not talking about Domino's, but for less than what you can get a full pie of pizza for, you could have our top tier. So all you need to do is avoid 1 pie of pizza a month, and you could be a top tier member. So, consider supporting us. It would be helpful, and we'd be grateful. We'd have an attitude of gratitude towards you.
Not dependent on the circumstances.
Not dependent on the circumstances, right?
Yeah, we'll link up Western Hills Instagram and social media if you want.
Yeah, we're not on Instagram yet. That will be coming, I'm sure, pretty soon. We've actually started some conversations about that. We got a Facebook group right now. Again, not a page as of yet, but again, I think that's coming.
Yeah.
But we do have a podcast for our sermons every week. So maybe we can link to the podcast. Or something like that to the website.
Send the website and the podcast to us, and we'll link to it. Now the other the other news that we have is we are going to be closing our Life Giving Water swag store. I think the only people that bought from the Life Giving swag store
were the co-hosts.
And we do have some pretty awesome swag, if you ask me.
Cool swag.
Well, they're drinking out of our Party on John cast mugs. And we had this discussion because I upgraded my phone, and I figured let me get a new Party on John phone case. And I think the link inadvertently, because there was not enough traffic
it expires over time if people don't buy it. Like it stays listed for a certain amount of time, and that's really we host it through Etsy, and so that's really Etsy's way of making money. Is you pay 60 cents per item or whatever it is, and then it stays up for 6 months, and then it expires, and then you have to repost it for 60 more cents, and so it just isn't cost effective for us to have it. So but we will still have our Patreon account. So definitely support us. That would be nice. And if you at least support us in our $5 tier or a $10 tier, you'll get a free car magnet out of it.
Car magnet and bonus content.
Yeah, so that's pretty rocking. All right, well, that wraps up our episode. So thank you guys, and hey, Sal, be excellent. I think people should be excellent to each other.
They should, and remember, don't be a jerk.
Rock on.
Rock on.